Okay. Well, I first came across open badges about 4 years ago at the EduWiki event we held up in Leicester, and when I saw that this year's Mozfest was actually having a significant strand on open badges, it made me very keen to catch up with how open badges have been developing. And last year they had about 4 sessions. This year it's expanded to 54. So it's actually impossible to attend all the sessions. There's such a level of diversity. And this reflects the way that the open badges have actually been accepted as a standard on the internet, being taken up by a range of different institutions. And it looks to me from some of the presentations here that education establishments in California, particularly at the school level, but also in the lifelong learning sector, which have really taken open badges forward. It's a way of recording learning achievement, whether formal or informal, that's done through the internet, and basically it allows anyone to award a badge, but the value of the badge is related to the reputation of the person who awards it. So one of the interesting aspects was the way that you can have certain badges awarded by one institution, and then another institution can basically endorse them, and you can then have a number of small badges can get turned into a big badge. So you could have, for instance, a university could say, well, we'll accept these different pieces of learning from outside our establishment, and they can be integrated into part of formal qualification process. So it's quite adaptable to different circumstances. Another example, drawn from the Scottish Social Services Council, that they are using them as a way of recording people's induction into things like social work and stuff like that. So it's a way that within an institution you can keep track of levels of competence of staff. When we had the Wikimania back in 2014, we had some people from the Scottish Education Department who have gone quite far in implementing open badges, and there are certain issues as regards people under the age of 13, so you've got child protection issues, but basically things have gone a long way to dealing with those issues, so that as a child grows into an adult, they reach a point at which they can say, I'm not really worried about these badges, but these badges I want to take forward, and they can have them in their public portfolio. So that's really something which has been done in connection with the GLOW program they've got in Scotland. So there's been, I would say probably the last year has been quite a turning point in open badges in terms of they've moved from a kind of something that's just being tried out and tested in various ways to actually gaining serious recognition. This suggestion's been around. Basically, there's several people working on it, people like Charles Matthews, and it kind of got put on the back burner, but it can be used in a number of ways. It can be used as a way of publicly recognising volunteer activities. So you can have an editathon. It can be used to recognise the people who attend the editathon, and the people who run the editathon, and the people who support the editathon. Then it's already being used by Wikimedia Sweden. So for instance, if an educationalist uses Wikipedia in their educational work, they get a badge recording that fact. So it'd be quite easy simply to make a version of that basically the same, perhaps even using similar icons, but modify them so that it's clear that the awarder in this case would be Wikimedia UK as opposed to Wikimedia Sweden. So then that would mean that the different badges being issued by different chapters start to become comparable, which would be very useful if at some future stage a kind of meta level badge is required. And you can say, well, it doesn't matter if you get it from Wikimedia UK or from Wikimedia Sweden, that's fine. It shows that you've done this particular activity, or you provided evidence for a particular competence.